Let's power up our minds for the next panel discussion on the green transition, which is all about moving towards a net zero economy. We all know that Western Balkans countries are heavily dependent on coal, but the transition to clean energy is essential for achieving carbon neutrality. To achieve this goal, we need to shift to renewable energy resources, improve energy efficiency, and reduce energy poverty. Now, let me introduce our esteemed panelists who are experts in the field of renewable energy development and investment. We have Nikola Rovčanin, the CEO of Montenegrin Electric Company, Maja Turković, the SVP of Business Development Europe at CVP Global, Gabriel Maroši, the Group Sustainability Officer of Erste Group, Borko Torbica, the owner and vice president of the board of Elnos Group, and Krešimir Čondić, the CEO of Ivicom Holding and member of board of Ivicom Consulting. Moderator of this session is Ivan Bulatović, executive director of CCAO. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this, let's say, panel 4. Green transition powering net zero economy. I would dare to say that this panel is, one of the most interesting panel here, and especially because it comes after the lunch, so you can rest and listen carefully. Thanks to government of Montenegro, thanks to Sustineri partners in Porto Montenegro, we are today here and have opportunity to discuss this very important, topic. Thanks to Balkans Summit organization that brings today this, experts in their fields, and we can speak about green energy transition and net zero economy. I will not exaggerate if I say that this team here can answer on all questions related to this very interesting topic, and I would like to thank all of you for accepting this invitation and be a part of this, very important event. Anyhow, I will make a short introduction about this topic, and you heard today that one of the most interesting topic, of course, is green energy transition and clean energy package. We are all aware, which is good, that we have to move from fossil fuel to renewable energy, but the question is how to do this, how to do this smoothly and without jeopardize our economies. Also, I would say that in Montenegro today, everybody talks about green energy, about solar power plants, about earning money easy. I would say easy money, bringing investors in Montenegro and so on. But I would say that without global strategy, we do not have, we would not get far. The EU has, as you know, 450 million inhabitants, but climate change is something which is related to every single inhabitants in our planet, 7.5 billion of people. So I would like to say that our region, which naturally belongs to Europe, with 70% of depending of fossil fuel, should find a way how to smoothly transfer the energy from fossil fuel to clean energy package or renewables. I will just remind on some targets which are settled by International Energy Agency with the aim to achieve carbon reduction scenario. And by 2030, 60% of global car sales are electric, and 1,020 megawatts annual solar and wind additions should be achieved. This is, in my point of view, a very challenging task. These people here, I am sure that could elaborate this in more detail, but as you know, 230 is almost tomorrow. And I will say that for our region, these goals are very challenging. I will say that in 2035, 50% heavy trucks sales are electric, no new sales of conventional cars, and overall net zero emissions in advanced economies should be achieved. By 2040, which is also very interesting for our region, and also for Montenegro, that phase out of all unabated coal and oil power plants. Where are we now, and what is our plan for future? I think that these people here can give answers. I will start with questions. Maya, I will start with you because you are only lady here. I will ask you, how can international renewable energy companies like yours, CVP, contribute to achieving the Western Balkans goal of carbon neutrality? And what is some innovative business ideas and strategies that can be implemented achieving this goal?
Thank you, Ivane. To start with, I don't believe the transition will be possible without a private capital. Of course, there are other stakeholders in this process that cannot be accomplished without larger communities, without incumbent companies, but they're also embedded a lot of problems from the past, and it's very difficult for them to compete with the private companies in this race. It's not actually a competition, so we need all the green megawatts we can possibly have. So starting with the obvious, you know, we are in green business as renewable energy developer and investor. So we are basically building green, building green megawatts, replacing the megawatts from the polluting technologies, fossil fuels. So we are already heavily reducing the carbon footprint. So this is, as I said, quite obvious, but the main question is how do we actually get there? Because what we see today is that, I'll give you just an example of Serbia. We had a change of legislation a few years ago, and then at that point, Serbia had 400 megawatts of wind projects in operation and around 4 gigawatts of projects in development. So 3 years later, we still have 400 megawatts of wind in operation, and we have more than 20 gigawatts of projects in development. So this is by all means not an easy money, as you said even at the beginning, everything but easy money.
Yes.
And there is a big concern. I think it was discussed earlier on the previous panels, you know, how lenders basically perceive that. So there are ways how through doing very innovative, having very innovative approach, an investor can achieve more. For example, we tend to, this is something we have mastered in Australia, in our Australian portfolio, is that we basically bring together the value chain with industrial consumers through selling them power, green power, so corporate PPAs, not the corporate PPAs. And this is mostly effective in the industries which are heavily dependent on the use of electricity and where electricity contributes extensively to the final product and the pricing as well. So not only you bring cheaper power, but it's also green. So you would like twice kind of affect the carbon footprint in positive terms. You can also, what we do, we apply the best available technologies. So technology is a big helper in this process because it's more efficient. So we have larger wind turbines now, the panels are more efficient. That in turn means that we need less land to install more capacity, so less zoning issues, less negative effect on the local communities in terms of land usage. All of that is basically helping, you know, the transition. Also, one of the ways to mitigate that is to go for hybrid projects, so, you know, co-locating wind and solar and storage. together, so on the same kind of area, which also helps with reducing the land footprint, which is one of the critical aspects of the renewable projects, because that comes with the change of land designation. So we have to be really sure we are not decreasing the household incomes, and that we really that the communities will benefit from that, not only through the green electricity, which we are, undoubtedly increasing in the overall production mix, but also, providing them additional income from the land, and also going through the, enforcing greater community involvement in the process. And probably a lot of you have heard of the projects who reached all the building permits and never got built. So when you think of a project, in our business, anybody who can secure financing will build. This is a kind of a thing. And that the gatekeeper are the lenders. It shouldn't be like that. It should be the governments with the proper regulation. So not the lenders, because what happened, and that explains why we have 8 or 10 times more capacity in development and so little in construction or online, added, is because most of the projects fail when they reach the point when they come to the lenders. And this is where ESG practices help, So everything you, as a developer, investor, neglected or didn't pay attention to, because ESG is just good management of risks. And they can be various, and maybe we'll talk later a little bit more about that. But I'm just saying, so the gate is today with the lenders. But other than, so what's basically makes the project successful? So you have to secure financing, obviously. And then probably you would either make it or not in terms of fulfilling the criteria that are required. But other than that, what has become increasingly important is really bringing back to the communities. And there are various examples how developers mitigate those risks and how they involve wider communities in their projects so that they all feel like they have equity in the project and they are accountable and they are heard, and it shouldn't happen that the project that is fully permitted, issued with the valid permits by the government, never gets built. This is the failure probably of, it's not of the lender, it's the failure of the I would say it's the imperfect regulation in combination with inexperienced developers. So these are basically the areas where one should pay attention more.
Thank you for answer. I would like to ask just your maybe opinion about, because you are like a CVP global.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you are working also in abroad in Australia. You mentioned Australia,
yes,
like an example. I would like to ask if is it make very short because of the time comparison between maybe projects in Australia and of course project here in Western Balkan countries. Is it similar? Just in few words, if is it possible?
Yeah, it's very difficult to compare, but in terms of development, the rules should be the same. Some countries, even when I compare countries in the region, we operate in 8 countries in the region, in East and Southeast Europe. So there are some differences, but the basic principles are the same. For example, if you go with, it's very critical in Australia. So if you're building a solar project on a larger area, you have to involve community. In this case, you would go with the agro-solar, with the owners of the land who also have a lot of cattle or sheep, So you would do a lot of, this is what we do in Australia. So these are the models that can be copied in the region as well. The complexity comes, I would say development is should be more or less alike. Because those are all the same hurdles that one development must, The problem comes with the offtake and other issues, which are a little bit out of the ESG scope. But development itself, it's very much comparable, and I believe there is great room to implement practices from other countries in this region.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I have a question for Nikola. Kakve mogućnosti tranzicija čiste energije stvara za nove i inovativne biznise u regionu Zapadnog Balkana? Ako možeš, Nikola, malo nam pojasni.
Naravno, hvala na pitanju. Želim sve prije svega srdačno da vas pozdravim, da čestitam na ovoj sjajnoj organizaciji ovog samita i mislim da su teme one koje dijele upravo Zapadni Balkan, pa i ovo pitanje koje ste postavili odnosi se prije svega na one zemlje koje su zavisne od uglja. Konkretno govorit ću o Crnoj Gori, o elektroprivredi Crne Gore. 40% proizvodnje, dakle ukupne godišnje na ugalj i upravo je to negdje alarm u čitavoj, dakle, energetskoj tranziciji da i naša država, elektroprivreda Crne Gore, krene putem zelene tranzicije izgradnje novih objekata iz obnovljivih izvora energije. Dakle, na samom početku to je otprilike bio jedan veliki izazov, imajući u vidu da ta tranzicija treba da se sprovede u veoma kratkom roku, imajući u vidu i očekivanja, imajući u vidu zakonodavstvo, imajući u vidu direktive i ono što su obaveze upravo naše države. I negdje se na samom početku možda to vidio kao određeni problem, da li će država uspjeti, elektroprivreda izaći i tako dalje. Međutim, kako odmiče i kako smo već duboko ušli u desetine projekata iz oblasti obnovljivih izvora energije, to zaista nije problem, to je velika šansa i tu je upravo leži odgovor na vaše pitanje. Šansa ne samo za energetiku, već šansa za privredu, šansa za nova radna mjesta, šansa za mlade ljude i također usklađivanje obrazovnog sistema sa čitavim tim tokom. Tako da, što se tiče elektroprivrede Crne Gore, mi smo pokrenuli niz projekata iz oblasti obnovljivih izvora energije i onaj koji je upravo u toku jeste projekat Solari 3000 plus i 500 plus i njegov nastavak 5000 plus. Također, ono što je veoma važno jeste, evo tu je gospodin Krešević-Čondić, jeste vjetroelektrana Gvozd, očekujemo u ovom mjesecu potpisivanje ugovora, ujedno radimo i na adaptaciji, rekonstrukciji postojećih objekata. Ali ono, da ne bih navodio dalje i usmjeravao se prije svega i na vaše pitanje gdje vidim određeni problem koji se javili. Problemi su administrativne prirode, dakle, i problemi koji nisu bili na početku ove godine su stvoreni sa financijama. Dakle, imajući u vidu određenu nestabilnost nakon energetske tranzicije, došlo je do povećanja kamatnih stopa, tako da u ovoj situaciji je izloženost finansiranju mnogo skuplje, dakle, nego što je bilo recimo prethodne godine i to možemo reći na bazi projekta Solari 3000 plus i sada već novi projekat 5000 plus gdje imamo kamatnu stopu prošle godine od 1,6, sada se kreće i do 5-6 kada se uračuna Euribor. Dakle, imamo taj problem. Drugi problem administrativne prirode gdje jednostavno državno zakonodavstvo nije bilo spremno za brzu energetsku tranziciju, međutim tu se dešava određen pomak gdje su solarni paneli i oprema oslobođeni PDV-a, gdje imamo nepostojanje UT uslova do instalisane snage 999 kW, što definitivno odmah otvara brzo, apsolutno brzo investiranje i to se pokazuje projektima. Međutim, ukoliko želimo da zaista neke velike investicije koje su vrijedne i gdje na ovom našem tlu postoji veliki broj zainteresovanih investitora sa zapada, ukoliko želimo da ih brzo sprovedemo, dakle, mi moramo napraviti određene intervencije na zakonodavstvu. Da li je to ideja donošenja posebnog zakona o strateškom planiranju koji bi se odvojio od postojećeg i fokusirao upravo na strateške priče, ne samo iz oblasti energetike, već iz oblasti saobraćaja, turizma, ono što je bitno za državu, kako bi se definitivno taj put i taj mehanizam odblokirao, dakle, kako bi za veoma kratko vrijeme došli do velikih investicija. Dolaskom do velikih investicija, dakle, koje su vrijedne i mi ono što smo negdje projektovali i zamislili, to nadmašuje milijardu eura investicija u obnovljive izvore energije kada u pitanju Crna Gora, došli bi do definitivnog i odgovora i na vaše pitanje, dakle, u smislu ne samo direktnog privrednog efekta, već promjene slike u spoljnotrgovinskoj razmjeni Crne Gore, smanjenje spoljnotrgovinskog deficita, jer vi vidite i po Monstatu, recimo u onim periodima kada je cijena na tržištu bila skupa, kada smo mi bili izvozno orijentisani, definitivno je naš izvoz generisao cjelokupni izvozni potencijal Crne Gore u spoljnotrgovinskoj razmjeni. i nama zaista trebaju novi objekti iz obnovljivih izvora energije koje utiču na čitav bruto društveni proizvod. I kada samo govorimo o direktnim benefitima, moramo uključiti i indirektne benefite da raste u tom periodu i tržište usluga, eksterne kompanije i tako dalje. Tako da ono što je veoma važno i gdje država u stvari već počela da pravi pomak jesu administrativne barijere i nadamo se također i stabilizaciji određenog finansijskog tržišta, imajući u vidu da zaista posljednjih mjeseci je došlo tu do određenog povećanja kamatnih stopa kada uzmemo uporedni period iz prethodne godine. Što se tiče zainteresovanosti stranih investitora za ulaganje u Crnu Goru, ono je zaista veliko, imajući u vidu naše potencijale, dakle prije svega iz oblasti solarne energije, iz oblasti hidroenergije, vjetroenergije, i moram da napomenem i ono što je zaista važno za čitav Zapadni Balkan jeste prelazak, ta pravedna tranzicija, dakle, u regionima uglja. Tu također postoji veliki broj zainteresovanih investitora i prošli mjesec smo potpisali jedan veoma važan također memorandum sa zainteresovanim investitorima koji žele da naprave, da kažemo, jedan set proizvodnih pogona oko termoelektrane Pljevlja, počev od reciklaže i selekcije otpada, formiranje kotla B na biogorivo koji bi se koristio upravo od tog otpada, proizvodnje električne energije, korišćenje Laporca kao nus proizvoda, odvađenje ruda uglja, već je nagomilano preko 100 miliona tona fabrika cementa i u finalu fabrika gipsa, gipsanih ploča i modernih građevinskih materijala za građevinsku industriju. To je jedan otprilike koncept koji ja prepoznajem i treba da streme, dakle, sve ove zemlje koje se suočavaju sa tim problemom, a sa druge strane taj pravedna tranzicija nije nešto što se može očekivati za godinu ili dvije, potreban je proces, ali ono što je važno ne treba da se stoji, već snažno da se krene u ulaganje, u investicioni ciklus kao što mi to i radimo. I evo, možda nije mjesto i da se negdje, da istaknem elektroprivredu Crne Gore, da je ona upravo kada se posmatra cjelokupan region uspjela da energetsku krizu prebrodi ne zaustavljajući investicioni ciklus, već povećavajući u mnogome, održavajući stabilnost energetskog sistema, dakle bez restrikcija, ne povećavajući cijene građanima i ostvarujući profit, dakle visoki profit na nivou godine. Hvala.
Hvala Nikola na detaljnom stvarno pojašnjenju šta elektroprivreda trenutno radi, čime se bavi. Raduje svakako to što čini mi se da je elektroprivreda ovu energetsku tranziciju prihvatila kao izazov, a ne kao neko opterećenje, što je svakako jako dobro i što će, nadam se, nastaviti sa sigurno u dobrom ritmu. Ono što je bitno jeste što je Maja pomenula, problem je veliki broj zahtjeva koji su predati za solar, a čini mi se bez jake elektroprivrede i bez jakog stabilnog izvora, mislim da to neće biti urađeno na pravi način. Ali svakako to ostaje za neko vrijeme koje je pred nama. Hvala svakako. Gabriel, for you question. Erste Group has one of the most extensive sustainability agenda within its strategy. Can you tell us a bit more how you are implementing ESG standards? We heard a lot today about ESG standards, how important it is implementing ESG standards in all these projects, in all aspects. So if you can explain us a little bit more about this, it will be very useful.
Okay, Ivan, thank you very much for having us here. Erste Group is active on 11 markets, and out of that 4 belongs to the Western Balkans, so I'm happy that we can share our experience here with you and with the colleagues. So firstly, as we have heard during the previous discussions in the morning, you know, the ESG is something which is very complex and very wide, but ultimately you can simplify it down. And what you need to look is basically what is relevant from the whole ESG concept for you, for your business model, for your customers, for your stakeholders. And if I look on that, then I need to say that Erste Group as such is a very lucky institution. I mean, we have a very boring business model, to be honest, already 200 years, and you know, we are just following one mission, and that is based on inclusivity, and what is basically in our funding chapter is that we are providing, you know, services without differentiation to age, gender, nationality, or social status. And that's a very important element of the S. And we are keeping this as a very important value proposition of us. So the social inclusivity for us is one of the main domains. The other, and very naturally 200 years ago, we haven't had a challenge of the climate change. We haven't had a challenge of, depletion of the resources. So this is something what very recently we analyzed very, very carefully, and then we have taken as our kind of second main domain, the green transition. Firstly, we believe that this is again a contribution to the prosperity of the region, but most importantly, it is the only way how to slow down or prevent, the climate change. And the climate change is something which is globally happening. All of us needs to contribute, but that means that each of us counts in this whole game. So the social inclusion and the green transition are the two kind of priority areas. But then, of course, we are an institution who is providing services to its customer. So the customer satisfaction and the customer care is also very important for us employees. We cannot do without employees. So the employee cares, employee rights is also something which is key in our focus. And then lastly, we do believe that the diversity, gender diversity, and the diversity in a broader sense creates enormous value. And this is something what we are also promoting in our strategy. So, these are the main propositions, and it just, reflecting who we are and what kind of business we are doing.
Perfect. Thank you. Question for Borko. As you executive director of one of the, let's say, biggest company in region, which is dealing with civil working, with project implementation and so on. Is it you are most dealing, probably most experience you have in Serbia? Do you have, after a long hiatus that resulted in over 15 gigawatts of renewable energy projects waiting for permits, the Serbian government is expected to introduce amendments to the law on the use of renewable energy. What effect do you think that this will have on the market? And what else can the governments do to boost and accelerate the deployment of renewable energy projects?
First, I would like to thank you for invitation on conference and express my praise for organization and especially for once again confirm the importance on the current topics ESG standard. Even if in your question we have heard about 15 gigawatt in renewable source in Serbia in phase of the permitting, but it is very important to emphasize that this 15 gigawatt, it's only in phase of initiative for potential investor or developer. For understanding the market of Serbia, you have to have in mind that the installed capacity in Serbia are total 8 gigawatts. And transmission infrastructure today is constructed for the level of capacity for this possibility and for the expansion. Target of the new law of the project is become active fast. New law has set of the several conditions how the fastest this project. Analyze what we have is most of the project overlooked in the zoning plan of the local community and the first conditions. First conditions is approval of the local, for the project from the local community in the zoning plan. Second conditions in the new law, maybe from my perspective, it's one of important. Bank guarantees from investor for the investment plan. These conditions will define serious and strong investor and the real project. Third conditions is the provision of the balanced capacity. With the new law in Serbia, state will ask to EPS, EPS, the public utility company in Serbia, for production adequacy study and identification for the real balance capacity what we have in the apps now. For project, the state will have balancing capacity, state will issue permit. But for the project that don't fit if balancing capacity, it will be necessary to additional provide. Example, first, own storage. Second, storage lease from the third party or independent contract for the balance capacity. Focus is how we accelerate the project what we have in this pipeline list of the 15 gigawatt. I think different government in the region have good experience. We have good experience. Example, in Macedonia, government in Macedonia have one process, application for the strategic partnership for the biggest project. Example, in this case, we have the, we reduce the map, roadmap, what is the status of the project. We reduce the time for the permitting process, and this process is the pushing on the time for the start of the acceleration for the project. In Montenegro, we have the really, really good experience with the project, with the colleague who sit with my right side. We work together on project Gvozd now, and we expect a new solar project, and Mr. Ovčanin explained how Montenegro accelerate the new renewable sources.
Thank you, Borg, for your answer. I would like to ask also Krešo, just because Borg mentioned the battery storage, which is something which is not something new, but it's very interesting, and there is a story behind this energy storage. Just to ask, because you are executive director of a company which is dealing with project implementation and developing the project. Also, maybe Maya can answer. Do you think that this battery storage is something which is burden for new projects in renewables, or maybe it's opportunity? Just a short answer, if is it possible, but it's, I think it's a good topic to discuss here.
I think still it's more opportunity than a real chance, because there is still some open issues with the battery storage, and in the moment it's very expensive, still very expensive.
Yes, that's why I asked.
No visibility behind, and we have to wait certain points. And I personally think that there are many other options that can be implemented on a more efficient way than battery storage.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. It's short. Maya, maybe you can add something
quick. Yeah,
very quick, and I will ask again.
Yes. So we are a little bit out of the topic, but I think it may be interesting.
Yes,
so because CWP has extensive experience with storage, with battery storage in Australia. So, and by the way, we are not an Australian company. We are just very active on that market. But Australia has capacity markets, and so does the UK. And there are like 6 or 7 countries in Europe that have a capacity market, which is the biggest source of income. So if you put, my answer to your question is yes, batteries can help. It depends how they are designed in terms of regulation, how is it set. If it is set too high, this is going to become a burden on the capex, yes, on the capital investment. If you don't have income to justify the investment, it's going to just become a business barrier, and nobody's going to build anything, you know. So this is something where governments and system operators should be very cautious when they design and regulate such a scheme and requirement, because they may easily create a business barrier if they do it if it's an overkill, as we say. Because I can just tell you one data. So in Serbia, in the law, we have requirement to provide our own balancing reserve for every new renewable project that is going to be connected in the amount of 20% of the installed capacity 2-hour duration. This is too much. We'll see how that develops. Maybe there will be technology breakthrough and the costs will be decreased substantially, but at the moment it doesn't seem as a viable solution. We'll see how that develops. But in whole Europe, the total capacity of batteries integrated with renewables, so the batteries that serve to allow integration of renewables, is 500 megawatts, of which almost 300 is in the UK. So we are really speaking about very small capacity. This is whole Europe. And now we expect to have gigawatts of battery storage in Serbia. I just don't think it's viable. But I may be wrong. Time will prove me either right or wrong, so we'll see.
Thank you. We have to wait probably some more time to have. Krešo, what are the most important ESG criteria that your company check at the screening investment in the Western Balkans? Can you explain us a little bit more how important ESG standards is for your company?
So we, as a company, invested in several countries in the region. Here, we started investment in Krnovo in 2009, in Serbia, in Krivača 2010. Then we also invested in Croatia, in Bosnia, also in Georgia. And first, our mental aspect. First, you are looking for whether there is a need for a renewable plant, and if yes, then in what extent. For example, we also invested in Albania, and then when we made the first survey, we have found out that practically you can't invest in renewables because of a lack of a load capacity. Then we practically first time also started investment in a gas power plant, providing the conditions that you can develop the renewables. Social, you are checking working conditions, you are checking local communities' acceptance, which is very, very important because my personal experience is if a local community doesn't want you, and they will make at most possible in order to prevent investment and to stop the investment. So you will spend the time and money and energy on something that is no-go. Governance, you check your standard parameters, tax strategy, remuneration mechanism, then you check political environment, also the corruption index or perceiving corruption. I would say also my personal experience with the corruption, I would say the bigger problem than corruption is perceiving the corruption, because perceiving corruption is practically blocking authorities, and as a result you have doing nothing. And this is a bigger problem than corruption itself. Once when you screen all this, then you make your decision whether to go or no go. And I have to tell that in most countries where we decided up screening to go, in some countries we aborted practically further development. My personal, I would say, disappointment is with Africa, because I've seen that in Africa is really too early with the investment in renewables, and this is somehow understandable for me, because if 60% of the population has no access to the electricity, to the grid, then talking about renewables is practically makes no sense.
Okay, thank you. We have 15 minutes left, so we have to be a little bit faster. So please keep in mind that we have 15 minutes time. So Maja, can you explain us what do you see as a necessary regulatory and policy developments to enable and promote growth of renewable and clean energy in Southeast Europe?
Yes, so apart from the hardcore regulation that everybody speaks about, which is planning and construction and grid connection, I think that I will just quickly tell you about things that are not that commonly discussed, but I think they're equally important. One is basically why all the projects, a lot of projects fail to reach the bankability phase. That is quite a discrepancy between local regulation and requirements by the IFIs when it comes to environmental and social assessment. So basically, if you want to create a good system, you need consistency of standards. So the best way to do so is to harmonize the EU regulations, which are basically, the ones that the lenders would require from you with the local regulation. At the moment, if you want to build your project, you will be doing twice environmental impact assessment. You will do the local one according to the local regulation, which you need for the permit. And then you would need an international one, where you would need to have the consultants that are shortlisted by the major IFIs, which is more stringent, which is more comprehensive, which takes much longer time, and which you need in order to finance the project. So basically, in practical terms, this would help, but this will create a kind of system that is missing. We've seen that across. Serbia is, when I compare the countries in the region, quite well advanced in terms of regulation and development. You can tell because there's quite a lot of capacity already being built. So what I'm saying does not refer to Serbia in the first place, rather other countries. So if you want to create a system, you have to start with that. You need a consistency in standardization. And then there's really no fear, or whoever makes it to the end will be financed and build according to the standards. Equally important, what we are missing is that the minimum requirement when it comes to engagement with the community, which is completely now something that is up to developers and investors. It's absolutely nowhere in the regulations. Maybe some benefit sharing, maybe something. What are developers and investors obliged to bring back to the community? And if that is regulated, you're leveling the playing field, and everything is transparent, and everybody knows what are the rules. So this is totally missing in all the countries, including Serbia. And finally, there is I already mentioned that, but I just want to emphasize, that the major issue is with the change of land designation or the usage of land. So we as investors have to make sure we are not going to create some shortage in food supply, that we are not jeopardizing some cultural heritage. In Serbia, archaeologists are very active in that regard. So, this should be into regulations. What are the rules? When does it apply? When are you allowed, and how, and what is the cost in these situations when you have to change the land? And just one final sentence, and I'm done. Equally important, it's a part of the policy and regulation thing. We have issues with the capacity building is always an issue. There's a big shortage in experts, and there's a big shortage in institutions as well, who are processing all these requests. So this is something every government should pay attention to. You can't really build a good environment and system for investments unless you have people who are capable to deal with all of that. That's a kind of note to regulators or, I don't know, the ministries. That's all.
Thank you. That's introduction, let's say, in my next question. Nikola, za tebe i za Borka može biti isto pitanje. Sve ove inicijative za, ajde kažem, za nove izvore, za izgradnju novih elektrana i tako dalje, iziskuju naravno kvalifikovanu radnu snagu. Da li u regionu, ajde kažem, u Crnoj Gori smo svjesni da možda smo i malo tržište i nemamo dovoljno kvalifikovane radne snage, radimo na tome da ih stvorimo svakako, ali da li je to otežavajući okolnost prilikom realizacije novih investicija i šta možemo da uradimo da bi tu situaciju popravili. Maja je nešto rekla po pitanju toga, visoko, ajde da kažem, kvalifikovane radne snage, fali svakako, ne samo kod nas, nego vjerovatno u cijelom regionu, a vidjeli smo i da Zapad uvozi negdje i naše kvalifikovanu radnu snagu. Da li mislite da je to prilika da se nešto pokrene u sistemu obrazovanja, u sistemu kako doći do kvalifikovane radne snage, to bi bilo ukratko.
Hvala. Dakle, brza energetska tranzicija svakako zahtjeva snažan kadrovski odgovor na tržištu. I ako nemate taj kadrovski odgovor, i malo prije sam pominjao brzinu odblokiranje administrativnih barijera. Dakle, da bi se savršenom brzinom realizovali investicije, morate da imate svaki aspekt, dakle, i finansiranje, zainteresovane investitore, izuzetnu administraciju, administrativni aparat, zakone koji su prilagođene realnosti i kadrovski odgovor, dakle, ono što je na terenu. Ja bih rekao da nije zadovoljavajući na Zapadnom Balkanu, dijelom što zbog školskog sistema, dijelom decenijske stagnacije u pojedinim oblastima i dijelom odliva prema zapadnim tržištima. Međutim, ja mogu govoriti iz ugla elektroprivrede, iz ugla Crne Gore, sa tim problemom smo se suočili. Dakle, prije svega kada je u pitanju realizacija projekta Solari 3000+, gdje vi imate, recimo, neophodan srednjoškolski kadar koji je potreban na terenu da izvodi radove ugradnjom i montažom solarnih panela, realizacijom određenih projekata na konkretnim objektima kada je u pitanju elektrika i definitivno smo tu prepoznali da školski sistem nije isporučivao te kadrove na tržište decenijama. Zašto? I sam energetski sektor je stagnirao. Dakle, poznato je da dugi niz decenija nije izgrađen jedan energetski objekat i naročito sada kada dolazite do obnovljivih izvora energije, do novih tehnologija, jednostavno ti mladi definitivno ljudi nisu se pronašli, upravo bili u tom periodu u energetskom sistemu, već su tražili u nekim drugim tržištima. Vidite i da sami turizam ima deficita, ne energetika. Sa druge strane, kada je u pitanju starija populacija, ona je radila na nekim starijim, da kažem, postrojenjima, objektima, nekim drugim privrednim djelatnostima i teško je to prilagodljivo. Ali šta je rešenje? Rešenje, naravno, uvijek postoji. Ono što je bilo kratkoročno ad hoc rešenje jeste da prilikom realizacije projekta Solari 3000+ i 500+, formiramo firmu specijalizovanu za ugradnju solarnih sistema, EPCG Solar gradnja, govorimo o primjerima koji su u Crnoj Gori, da definitivno radnu snagu obučimo. Dakle, važno je bilo da su mladi ljudi, srednjoškolski kadar, rađena je i teorijska i praktična obuka i evo, sada definitivno mi smo u fazi da je ugrađeno 20 megavata na domaćinstvima i ono što je važno jeste i očuvati tu radnu snagu, koja možda posle obuke može i da napusti državu i zatraži neka druga tržišta. Ono što sistemsko rešenje jeste sa Ministarstvom prosvete smo elektroprivreda, Ministarstvo prosvete i Crnogorski elektrodistributivni sistem zaključio jedan sporazum prije nekoliko mjeseci gdje smo definisali određene pravce i obaveze. U tom sporazumu je definisano da se od sljedeće školske godine u školski sistem uvedu i oni predmeti koji se tiču obnovljivih izvora energije. Dakle, i upravo oni tehničari koji se bave i koji uče za elektrotehničari imaju u svom, da kažem, spektru predmeta i one koji se tiču obnovljivih izvora energije kako bi oni spremni sutra izašli na tržište. To je broj 1. Broj 2 jeste praktična nastava, ona se izvodi već u saradnji sa elektrotehničkim fakultetom. I evo, kad sam se dotakao isto i ETF-a i možda neki problem koji zahtjeva sistemsku izmjenu zakona o visokom obrazovanju, jeste prilagođavanje stepena samim potrebama tržišta. Jer vi sad imate bachelor sistem ETF 180 bodova, država obezbjeđuje pripravnički staž, on dođe da radi u elektroenergetski sistem, odradi pripravnički staž, evo, skratit ću, dakle, i ne zadovoljava uslove jer nije stekao 240 bodova. Sada naš sistem je 3+2, on mora se vratiti opet da studira ili definitivno napušta zemlju. Dakle, potreban je sistemski pristup, potreban je praktični pristup. Ono što može biti ocjena, kao što sam rekao na početku, nismo zadovoljni definitivno kadrom na tržištu, ali uz određena unapređenja i ovo o čemu sam govorio, mislim da možemo doći što, evo, potvrđuje ovaj projekat solar i 3000 plus.
Poruka bi bila vjerojatno da praksa stvara najbolje, je li, kadrove?
Apsolutno.
Jasno.
Kada imate taj decenijski
Tako je,
određeni
tako je,
nedostatak,
tako je.
morate se osloniti dosta na praksu. Tako da...
Borko, može li samo kratko isto pitanje, samo kratko, evo, ostalo nam još manje od 4 minuta, tako
yes,
da...
conference today promotive of this green energy and new resources. Trend, what we can witness from our company is that young engineers seriously recognize that there were development opportunities in the field of green energy and are more oriented on this direction. Maybe a couple sentences. Elnus Group, it's one of the largest energy company in Western Balkan with tradition 78 years, with 1,000 employers and 16 European countries. In 2020, we have formed a training center for our employers. Every year, we training between 60 to 80 new employers of team. So this year, along solar energy sector, we expect number will reach 220 training employees. Our plans to have 500 training employers by 2025. With my answer to you, until 2030, in the region, there will be demand for the 1,000 of skills employers in solar sector. And this is the important training for the employers.
Thank you. Gabriel, we have still time. Can you explain us maybe about some new trends in European Union, about biogas, about something what is not still affected in our region? Maybe will be interesting to hear for our
Okay, let me let me bring just the perspective of the banks maybe. So 2 years ago, you know, we were in a stage where the NGOs were questioning us very much how much coal we are financing. Today, we see that the coal is going out, and we are happy to see that, you know, the renewable energy is picking up. Now, what you can see in most of the European banks is that they are building up not just, you know, a situation what is currently, but also looking into the future. This is what Erste Group also disclosed in the very recent non-financial report, and on that we are saying that at this moment we see that we are financing something like 420 kilograms per megawatt hour technology mix in the energy sector. By 2030, we expect to commit into 200 kilograms per megawatt hour in the technology mix. And of course, part of that transition will come from the technologies of wind, solar, but we do see also that there is a huge potential in the market, and especially, you know, this is giving a chance to that part of the market which typically is not involved into the energy transition, which is the municipal sector. Municipal sector, you know, generates a lot of waste, municipal waste. Especially in this region, this ends up in the landfills, whereby the municipal waste is full of energy, full of biomethane, methane, and which can be cleaned up to biomethane quality. So we do believe that this is an opportunity for the municipalities, be it on the waste side, be it on the water treatment side as well. And this is an opportunity also for agriculture. And I was listening very carefully in the morning. Agriculture is a topic for Montenegro as well. So we are keeping our fingers, we are ready to support it, the finances are available, please move in because this is a big opportunity.
Thank you, Krešo. Maybe 10 seconds. What will be your message for investors in Western Balkan? Yeah, in 10 seconds, yeah?
Try to accelerate the process because we are facing still a very slow response and still a bureaucratic barriers. And by accelerating this process, it can be done a lot. And message is also for the countries in the region, we all are facing in the development problems with the grid connection. And these problems can be also solved by cross-border transmission. And something must be done in this regards. And this could also allow the bigger capacity increase, because we are talking about one territory split into many small countries, many small transmission systems, and somehow must be the mechanism to connect these systems and to create a bigger grid capacity for renewable energy. 10 seconds or 15, I don't know.
Perfect for the end. Thank you once again for participating in this, I think, very interesting panel, and thank you, audience, for their patience. Thank you.